Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. So we'll start. Who is reading today? Prashanti Mati, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mati. I'll share my screen. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes Sri
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Prabhupada and Gurudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtike. Today we are reading Canto 3, Chapter 29, Explanation of Devotion Service by Lord Kapila. Text 24 to 34. Text 24. My dear mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities never pleases me by the worship of my deities in the temple. Text 25. Performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities as well. Text 26. As the blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. Text 27. Therefore, through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior, and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me with abide in all creatures as their very self. Text 28. Living entities are superior to inanimate objects, O blessed mother, and among them living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals with developed consciousness are better than them, and better still are those who have developed sense perception. Text 29. Among the living entities who have developed sense perception, those who have developed the sense of taste are better than those who have developed only sense of touch. Better than them are those who have developed the sense of smell, and better still are those who have developed the sense of hearing. Next 30. Better than those living entities who can perceive sound are those who can distinguish between one form and another. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth, and better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadrupeds, and better still are the human beings. Text 31. Among human beings, the society which is divided according to quality and work is best. And in that society, the intelligent men who are designed as Brahmanas are best. Among the Brahmanas, one who has studied the Vedas is the best. And among the Brahmanas who have studied the Vedas, one who knows the actual purport of Veda is the best. Text 32. Better than the Brahmana who knows the purpose of the Vedas is he who can dissipate all doubts. And better than him is one who strictly follows the Brahmanical principles. Better than him is one who is liberated from all material contamination, and better than him is a pure devotee who executes devotion service without expectation of reward. Text 33. Therefore, I do not find a greater person than he who is no interest outside of mine and who therefore engages and dedicates all his activities and all his life, everything onto me without cessation. Text 34. Such a perfect devotee offers respect to every living entity because he is under the firm conviction that the superpersonality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as the super soul or controller. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prashant Mate. Yeah, when you're ready, you can start, Mate, Gopijana, Priya Mate.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji, for reading the translations today. We'll start with brief prayers today before we start the class. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaprestaye Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pashyate Shatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Today we are continuing to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 29, verses 24 to 34. Let me share the screen. Prabhuji, would it be possible for you to share the screen? Somehow it's not coming.
Sure, Mate, I can share, Mate.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we are in the, we have heard from so far from Kapil Bhagavan explaining about the glories of the devotion service. And also he explained Ashtanga Yoga and the characteristics of different material elements. In the previous chapter, we have heard about the beautiful descriptions of Supreme Lord. And from in this chapter, Devahuti is requesting Kapil Bhagavan to further explain about the devotional service as well as the nature of the time, so that we will understand how important time is and how we can utilize the time in our life. And the another question she asked is that how can we stop the samsara, that is the repeated cycle of birth and death. So those will be covered in the further section of this chapter as well as the next chapter. So here, Kapil Bhagavan, in response to her first question, tell me about the devotion service in detail, she requested. So Kapil Bhagavan has mentioned that bhakti can be performed in various ways. Bhakti is transcendental, that is pure in its form, but the mood that performer execute the devotion service, it takes various classes. For example, and also he mentioned about different various classes, that is bhakti in ignorance, mode of ignorance, bhakti perform bhakti in mode of passion, that is bhakti in goodness, as well as the highest pure form, that is bhakti in pure transcendental nature, that is in Vishuddha Sattva. So that pure bhakti is also called as Visuddha Bhakti, or Akinchana Bhakti, Nirguna Bhakti. And Kapil Bhagavan mentions about how can one elevate oneself to that Akinchana Bhakti. He has given the detailed process and the to attain that pure devotional service. And he mentions about, as part of that process, hear about me, chant my names, qualities, and take the association of the devotees, see and worship me, and touch me in deity form, and also discuss spiritual subjects, serve the spiritual master. So as given the list of all the process, one can purify their consciousness and can attain pure devotional service. The process is described in the previous verses. And here in this section, what are the obstacles in performing pure bhakti? And we heard from Himanshu Prabhu also last week, the different offenses, how offenses are very, we need to be very careful not to offend any devotee, any living being also. So as part of that, and Supreme Kapil Bhagwan is saying that one who worship me, but one who hate the other living beings, or one who disregard that I'm there in all the living beings, I'm not pleased with them. It is whatever the worship that you are doing, it is like pouring ashes into the fire. That is false worship. So Kapil Bhagavan mentions that to elevate us, so whatever the devotional service that we are doing, he wants us to elevate from that consciousness. Supreme Lord is not just in deity. You need to learn, you need to respect all the living beings and develop that mood of empathy as well as respect towards all the living beings. So he's as a compassionate father, he's guiding his devotees not just to stop there with deity worship and go beyond that. That is, see everybody, see me in all the living beings and respect them according to their levels. So here, 24th verse, yeah, it's in the same theme that who criticized me, but who Prabhuji, can you do the purport also? I'm seeing, I'm not seeing purport.
Sure, Mataji, I can do that. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So here in this verse, Kapil Bhagwan is saying that one who worship me with great paraphernalia, it can be the best paraphernalia, and following all the rituals. But if the devotee is criticizing others, then it doesn't please me. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions about the different ways of worshipping, that is Narada Pancharatra, that is directly spoken by Lord Narayana to Narada Muni. And the paraphernalia is, it is mentioned 64 prescriptions are given for worshipping in the temple. And some will be very valuable, some may be less valuable. But what is the mood that we need to offer to Supreme Lord is with love and devotion. So what are the offerings? That is secondary, but love and devotion is the primary. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if a devotee offers me a flower, leaf, some water, or little fruit, I will accept it. So that is Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Yo me bhaktiya prayashati, tadaham bhakti uparatam asnami praitatmanaha. So everything belongs to him. Prabhupada writes here that whatever that we are seeing around, that is he's the proprietor, he's Lakshmi Pati. So we cannot bribe Supreme Lord with offerings without any devotion. He is not in scarcity because he has unlimited number of servants and unlimited paraphernalia in the spiritual world. So he's giving us an opportunity to worship him and purify ourselves. It is for our own benefit. And here Prabhupada mentions about the gratitude, how the pure devotees exhibit the gratitude by seeing the Lord in all the living beings. One of the ways is distributing prasad. So prasadam, as part of the temple worshipping, the prasad goes to so many people and it will benefit them. It is showing the compassion towards the living beings and the presence of the Supreme Lord in all the living beings. Yes, 25, please. Meantime, I'm also opening the book, Prabhuji, so that I can follow.
Sure.
So 25, here, so what is the solution? How can we see the presence of Supreme Lord in all the living beings? It is described in 25 to 27 verses. So 25 is, yeah, perform your prescribed duties and continue worship me, and also realize my presence in his own heart and also hearts of all other living beings. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that worshipping the Supreme Lord is prescribed, And just because that we have taken devotional service, we should not give up prescribed duties. We need to continue our prescribed duties and continue deity worshipping, and also realize the presence of Supreme Lord in our heart as well as in the other living beings' heart. So Prabhupada mentions about the Varnashramas, different Varnashramas here. And the goal of all this Varnashrama is to please Supreme Lord. If that is not the case, if one may be very satisfied that I'm discharging the prescribed duties very nicely, then without any devotion, that is waste of time. That is Shrema eva hi kevalam. So what is the goal is to get the attraction for Vasudeva. Then only the goal of the Varnashrama is achieved. Dharmaha svanushtita pumsa vishvakshenu kadasuyaha notpadayat ediratim shrema evaihi kevalam. One may perform the prescribed duties very nicely, but for those who don't get attraction towards the glories of Vasudeva, then whatever prescribed duties we are doing, that is useless labor. So here Kapil Bhagavan is saying the similar fact here. And Swakarma Krit is very significant. One has to discharge their duties, but one should not escape. Okay, if I don't want to do any prescribed duty, then one should not think that okay, I'm doing devotional, but one should not get lazy in executing the prescribed duties, showing an excuse that I'm doing devotional service. No, it's not the case. We need to do prescribed duties with the primary aim to attain devotional service unto Vasudeva. And 26, so here Kapil Bhagavan is saying that for those who shows the discrimination between himself and other living beings with a different outlook, I cause great fear in them. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that there should not be any discrimination at the bodily level, and a devotee outlook should be that the soul is present in every living being and the super soul is present in all the living beings. That is the equal vision the devotee should have for the living beings. And 27th, so one should give charitable gifts and attention, and also one should be very friendly behavior to all the living beings. That pleases Supreme Lord. That friendly act, friendly behavior, giving gifts and attention pleases Supreme Lord. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions about Mayavadis, the impersonalist. So they have misconception that the individual soul can become one with the super soul. They can become supreme soul, but it is never the case. Individual soul is always part and parcel. That is always Anu, and Supreme Lord is Vibhu. And Atma, that is individual soul, is Brahman, but Supreme Soul is Parabrahman. He is Supreme Brahman. So they also refer the living being who is the poor living being, and Super Soul is present in them. They refer them as Dharidra Narayana. But it is very, it is a contradiction. Bhagavan himself is full of opulences. How can he become Daridra Narayana? That is a complete contradiction. And out of compassion, Supreme Lord agrees to stay with all the living beings, whether he's animal, he's human being, he's a worm, insect. That is his compassion. But Supreme Lord is always Supreme Lord. And here Mana and Dana is mentioned here about Mana is giving respect to superiors and Dana is giving charitable gifts. So it is a showing we need to have that discrimination, even though the soul and Supreme Soul is present in all the living beings, but the way that we need to behave with them, how can we help those living beings? The discrimination should always be there. And we will see that in the following verses. Yes, 28th. Yeah, here it is the gradation of the different jivas is given. Yeah. So, so when we have that equal vision, but treatment wise, we need to have we need to apply the principles. We need to understand. We need to apply the right principles depending on the living being that we are dealing with. And the purport Sri Prabhupada clarifies nicely. Here in 28th to 36, different gradation of the jivas are given. So living entities are superior to inanimate objects. So matter, about the matter, there is jiva, right? Ajivana means it is, we can talk some examples also so that it is more clear. Ajivana means that is dry grass, which has no life. Jiva has restaha. Better than that is jiva, that is, you can say green grass. And prana brudha subhe, prana brudha. That means that prana brudha means entities with life symptoms, that is like living stones. And it is said that Balram Shakti Prabhu is mentioning about the stones also have life, and it is mentioned in the Vedas also. And when carving deities, they especially select the stones which have life. In our Mayapur Narsimhadev, deities also made with a living stone, and they have ways to find out which has life. And next category is Sachitta, that is, which has developed consciousness, and mountains is one of the example which have developed some consciousness. And better than that is Indriya Indriya Vrittaya. That means that those who have developed some sense perception, those are trees. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes here that so yeah, the example is given tiger. Tiger is a living entity, which is the part and parcel of Supreme Lord. And also Supreme Lord is living in the heart of the tiger as super soul. But does it mean that we have to treat the tiger so friendly and go and embrace the tiger? No, we have to, certainly not. We have to treat him differently. So we have to maintain the distance, and we can offer prayers, or we can leave some prasad there. Some saintly people who live in the forest, they leave some prasad for tiger also in order to benefit them. And for domestic animals like cats and dogs, as per Vedas, those are unclean animals, and we should not. We should keep them outside and leave some prasad for them. The compassionate householder go and put some prasad for them. They eat and go away. They're trained in such a way that they will not come inside. So the feeling of that equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminating. So that way, we benefit the other living beings, and also we respect them. They have their part and parcel. Supreme Lord is present, but treatment wise, and we show by based on the gradation of the jivas. And in Mahabharata also it is said that trees have developed sense perception. They can see and they can smell. And the next one, 29th, above the trees who have sense perception, they have a sense of taste, and better than them developed the sense of touch. Better than those jivas, they have developed sense of smell, and higher than that is sense of hearing. So in that hierarchy, the sense of hearing, means that all the previously mentioned the senses are already there, like sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of taste. Those are there in the next mentioned living entities. And here, Sparsha Veda, Sparsha Vedibhya, those are trees. And better than them is Rasa Veda. Rasa Vedas means worms. Examples I'm just mentioning. And better than Rasa Veda is Gandha Veda. That is organisms who have smell. Those are insects. And better than them is Shabda Vido. That is water insects. So these water insects already have sense of smell, sense of taste, and sense of touch. It is in Padma Purana, it is mentioned how there are 84 lakhs of different species, the categories. Here it is mentioning about the jivas who have developed, different consciousness and also different sense of perception. That hierarchy is given for our understanding. And the same description is also given by Vrishabhadev to his sons. Different types of the similar description will come in Vrishabhadev teachings also. And it is very scientific, it is very detailed. And here Srila Prabhupada mentions about the Darwin theory in 29th purport about evolution of the species. And Vedas, it is not new to Vedas. It is already described and it is coming from since time immemorial. And it is not news to Vedas. That's how we are reading this section today. But the way that the Darwin theory describes is completely false, and also all the imagination. One species comes from the another species. But here in Vedas gives us the right understanding how the evolution is happening and how different gradation in the jivas, different sense perceptions, as well as different consciousness. And we see further. So better than those living entities who perceive sound, they can distinguish one form to another. So looks like crows can distinguish one form from another form. And better than those have developed upper and lower sets of teeth. The example is given as the snakes. And better still are those who have many legs. Like spiders, bees, they have many legs. And better than them are the quadrupeds, that is four-legged animals. And better than those animals are human beings who have only two legs. So 31, and these are, we can spend some time here. And better than among the human beings also, the society is divided into 4 varnashramas, right? 4 divisions according to their quality and work. That is varnashrama. So among those, that is Chaturvanya Maya Srishtam, Gunakarma Vibhagasaha, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.13. Among the human society also, intelligent men, those are Brahmanas, they are best. And among Brahmanas also, there are again various levels of Brahmanical culture and also their profession, the activities that they do. So among the Brahmins also, one who studied Vedas is the best. And among the Brahmanas who have studied the Vedas, and one who knows the purport of the Vedas is the best. So here Srila Prabhupada writes, there are 4 classifications, 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. And so here mention about Brahmana. So Brahmana is the person who is trained to understand the absolute truth is Brahmana. When such Brahmana is Vedagna, that means that not only studying, he understands the purports of the Vedas, that is, what is the purport of Vedas? The understanding the absolute truth in three phases, namely Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, and Bhagavan realization. And Bhagavan means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one who understands that realization is the best of the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas. So 32, and better than the Brahmana who knows the purpose of the Vedas, and is who can dissipate all the doubts. They're better. Not only understanding the Vedas and the purports, but who can dissipate the doubts of other living beings. They are at the higher level. And even better is that one who strictly follows the Brahmanical principles. They're at the higher level. Not only understanding, but and also dissipating the doubts of the others. Above that is one who is following themselves with the strict Brahmanical principles is at the higher level. And the next higher level is one who is liberated from all the material contamination is at the higher level. And even better than that is a pure devotee who executes devotional service without expectation of any reward is at the higher level, highest level. So here, purport Srila Prabhupada writes that Ardhagna. Ardhagna means one who has made a thorough analytical study of the absolute truth and understand Supreme Lord in three realizations: Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And in the translation, what we discussed, Prabhupada is expanding here further. If someone not only has the knowledge, but also clear the doubts, question about the absolute truth is considered better. And but if one does not follow the Vaishnava principles, he is not situated at a higher level. One must be able to clear all doubts and also situate in the Brahmanical characteristics. Such a person is the knower of the Vedas, and they understand what is the purpose of the Vedic injunctions. And also he teaches his disciples by his own example. That is Acharya. Acharya is one who teaches by his own example. So they don't have any desire, any personal desires or personal motives in their life. And the highest perfectional Brahmana is Vaishnava. So Vaishnavas also, they understand the science of the absolute truth and also preach such knowledge to others and also follow the devotional service very strictly. Those are at the highest level of the human beings. And he's the highest perfectional Brahmana. So Brahmana has different qualities and they're primarily in mode of goodness. But one who, the qualities that mentioned by here, Kapil Bhagavan, is Vaishnavas at the highest level than even the Brahmanas. The highest perfection Brahmana is called Vaishnava because they're working in the transcendent platform. They are acting for the pleasure of the Lord as a service to the Lord. And that's why he is highest perfectional Brahmana. And 33, here Kapil Bhagavan is saying, I don't find a greater person than who has no interest outside of mine and who therefore engages and dedicates all his activities and all his life, everything unto me without cessation. So that is the gradation. We have seen different jivas, different species, sense of perceptions, and also human beings are the best. Among the human beings also, Varnashrama who are following Varnashrama, and among them Brahmana. Brahmana, above that is one who studies the Vedas, and higher one who realizes Supreme Lord, and above that is one who not only study, not only understand, not only dissipate all the doubts, but also one who strictly follows themselves and also help the others is Vaishnava. So above that is nobody. That is the highest level. So I don't find any greater person beyond Vaishnava. That's what Kapila Bhagavan is saying. And in the purport, Samadarshanath. Samadarshanath means the devotee's interest and the Supreme Personality of God interest, they are one and same. Few devotees, they don't have any other desire than what Supreme Lord desires. They always have anxiety. How can I serve Supreme Lord? How can I elevate the others? Because that is a mission of Supreme Lord. He wants everybody to go back, to get purified and to go back to his kingdom. So few devotees always interest always in sync with the Supreme Lord desires. And here, Mayavadi philosophies, their Samadarshanath is different. They see that, the individual being, they equate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is blaspheming the Supreme Lord. And out of foolishness and compassion, they equate, but here it is clearly saying that dedicate all your activities, your mind, your words, your life, everything unto me. Such a person is no better person than that person. So if there is a service, that means that three things should be there. One is master, servant, and service. Without service, there is no meaning to master and servant. Without master, there is no meaning to service and servant. Right? Without master and service, there is no meaning to servant. So there should be always master, service, and servant. So akartuhu means without any sense of proprietorship. So few devotees always act. They perform so many activities in this world, but they don't have that sense of proprietorship. They know that everything belongs to Supreme Lord, and he is the most confidential service of the Lord. He never works for any of his personal account. Whatever he does is everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. And also it is stated here that my arpita mana. That means he gives his mind unto me. So that is the qualification of devotees. Internally, they give the mind and intelligence to the Supreme Lord, and externally, the activities, whatever they do, it is only to serve Supreme Lord with his interest in line with the Supreme Lord. That's why Supreme Lord is considering such a devotee as the highest of all the human beings. Maya arpita manapumso mayi sanyasta karmanaha Napasyami Parambhutam Akartuhu Samadarshanath. Such a beautiful verse. This is the verse for reading today, 33rd verse. And 34, such a perfect devotee. He is the perfect devotee. He is having Samadarshana. He is equally seeing all the living beings as part and parcel, and Supreme Lord is present. He is showing empathy and respect to all the living beings. All are manifested in such a devotee. Such a perfect devotee offers respect to every living entity because he has a conviction that Supreme Lord has entered the body of all the living entities as a super soul and our controller. The purport is given. It is, Prabhupada is again cautioning here. We should not equate the individual soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And out of foolishness, Mayavadi personalists do that. Just because a person enters into a room, that doesn't mean that room has become that person. Similarly, when the Supreme Lord has entered into each of these 84 lakh particular bodies of material bodies, doesn't mean that all these bodies have become Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, because pure devotee accepts that Supreme Lord is present and each body is a temple of the Lord, And with that consciousness, they offer respect to such temples in full knowledge, and also he respects every living entity in relationship to the Lord. He perceives that what the Supreme Lord is present in all the living beings, and also they see in relation to they see the living beings in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And yeah, thinking about Daridra Narayana, it is all blasphemous statements of atheists and non-devotees. Prabhupada again cautioning here in this purport to what we discussed in the previous verses. That is the last verse for today. I thank you so much. If I misspeak anything, please forgive me. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mata Ji, very beautiful class. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank
Krishna Dandavat Mata Ji, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much, Mataji, for a wonderful class. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.